go. I do believe we are live, so I'll say indeed, and greetings unto you, beloved and holy friends. Thank you for joining me again on another Conscious Evolution. Today's stream topic is about asking. Yesterday's stream topic was about asking, technically speaking. But I didn't end up speaking technically about asking. So we're gonna speak about it today, you know? There's a bunch of things that can be asked. You can ask things of your body. You can ask for help. You can ask for the patience to be calm until that horrible noise dissipates. Bro. Oh, I see it now. This is a very slow plane, I think. Very slow and very loud. The worst possible combination. Bring on the electric planes. Not the point of today's stream topic. I mean, I am asking. Bring on the electric planes. But today's stream topic is about asking ultimately. Right? I have been asking for help. Uh, when it comes to advice, I have been asking for help when it comes to actions I'm supposed to be taking. I have asked for advice when it comes to learning how to do things right, you know? Like setting up a process where the business I'm trying to build is legitimate and tax compliant and the works, right? And there's a lot of they're asking a lot. Please, sir, more. More, sir, please. Always, dude. Always more, sir, please. The tax man says. But I will make it work the right ways. Yesterday was a day spent in the presence, in conversation with people who have done a lot more than me in this life. Right? Not only because they're older, but because they have a lot of chances to learn things and make mistakes, right? And they've been willing to learn things and make mistakes. And seeing this willingness to learn from each other, to help one another, uh, and ask was said, right? I met with someone yesterday who, like, literally plainly told me that his next 2 years, his goal is to get to a point where when he meets people and he gestures to me and John, when I meet people like you, I can just give you $50,000. Just give you $50,000 cash and see what you're gonna do with it. His goal, this potential client slash mentor, he would like to be called, does has this ideal at least of building dance floors and in the Afrikaans word speelgronde, like playgrounds. He wants to build playgrounds, like high accessibility playgrounds, playgrounds that not only cater to children, that cater to adults as well, that cater to the disabled. Like that's kind of his vision, And you friends know how I feel about dancing and about the dance floor. I just wanna make it more pretty. And there is this genuine, like, of course, we shared our business, we shared our business plan, we shared how much money we need, we set up this intention. There was this ask query that I should follow up, that I should call him up, I should send him messages, I should let him know this and that, and that we should set up like an hour meeting a month. So I'll have another meeting with him by the end of this month-ish. Gonna connect again, see if I can maybe set up something in person. But yeah, right? Like there is a lot that we ask of ourselves. There's a lot that will be asked of us, and asking is not wrong. Asking is not bad. Asking is not shameful. Asking is not something that you need to be scared of. And that is what we're going to be thinking about. We'll be pushing our minds towards. I see there's a Duck Dad, and a Pojo, and a Jovan here with me as well. How blessed. How blessed are we to have such amazing friends in our presences. This is technically the filmatic way to shoot. Alright, I should shoot shadow side. Does it look better? Do I look more cinematic? Maybe I should make your eyes a little bit lower. Boom. My freaking hair is tickling my nose. I'm willing to fail. The willingness to fail can be a direct path to success. Don't say that, bro. I have zero willingness to fail, though. Makes me think like I'm always very wary of people who ask me to call them mentor. My best mentors have been ones that didn't want to be mentors. I am wary of this individual as well, as I'm wary of all individuals, right? And there was this very clear point made as well that I am not going to rely on him being the one that's gonna help me do what I'm doing, right? He's just another person that I got to learn from, and I did learn from yesterday. So in that way, he has been a mentor. And he is very successful at what he's doing. Like very successful. So there is things to be learned, right? Like he knows things that I don't. And there's nothing to be ashamed about. The only thing that's shameful is not wanting to learn. Learning this week not to be weighed down by mistakes, instead stacking them and climbing on top to reach new heights. Reaching those new heights with you, dear Joe. Proud of you for growing. Simon is here with us as well. Yay, blessings to you, bro. I'm not saying this guy. I'm just saying I speak from my experience. People who call themselves mentors like that take advantage of the young and hungry. Oh yeah? I'm young and hungry, bro. You trying to take advantage might get you eaten. Looks at you with sinister intent. Don't you dare. Advantages me. I've never been a bad idea to glean the knowledge that is offered freely. Yeah, I learned a bunch of things yesterday. I learned some pretty shady marketing as well. It's not really marketing, it's more... I'm not the one that's going to be doing the shady marketing. But I can offer my clients shady marketing tactics. And it might make them want my product more. Right, so I learned stuff like that. I learned like industry stuff yesterday that I'm like feeling some ways about. On one level, right? On one level, I can still use the shady marketing to my advantage. In other words, the shady marketing, and I'm calling it shady because I don't like being manipulated in general. And as soon as there is any form of manipulation involved, to me that is kind of shade, right? But we all get manipulated. Language is manipulation. I am now, technically, if you want to get technically about it, manipulating you with my language to feel and think whatever the strain of thought is, right? So this manipulation is basically with our service of visuals, with the thing that we're offering. One, you will literally, get to offer the fractal of like retainability. In other words, the customer, because of the visual experience that's being offered in this venue, will be more likely, literally, to stay longer in said venue, which is what the venue wants. Because the longer a customer stays, the more they might end up spending at said venue, right? So that is one of the marketing tactics that we're now going to have to use when approaching clients. But on the other side, you can also apply to the visuals incentives, right? you can like create a structure around which people need to keep an eye on things. And if they kept an eye on something long enough or sticked around, they actually have the capacity to, gain something, whatever it may be, whatever the venue wants to offer, right? And in that way, you will have the attention of human beings. And as you have that attention, in my mind, I would take great pride in making sure that attention is treated to things beautiful in the meanwhile, right? So it's me trying to give the artist in me room to make art while at the same time giving the slave food to eat, kind of vibes, right? I was young and hungry, starting brewing beer in the industry, worked hundreds of unpaid hours of experience. I have only worked one unpaid gig. And since then, not a single person has expected me to do work for free. Well, actually, just lied. He didn't expect me. I offered to do work for free. But again, right, that was like me seeing what I can do with that kind of content thing as well. And I learned a lot again. But since then, right, I've been getting paid for my work at the very least. So I'm just not gonna. I won't work for you if you're not gonna pay me. I just won't. I literally have many other things to do. I unfortunately cannot just, oh, you can manipulate me, big brutal Duck Dad. Why no starting Duck Dad Beers Limit Ltd? Maybe one day, bro. It could still happen. Melty is like a science experiment. Failure in our efforts to achieve a certain specific goal can open unseen doors to successful endeavors that were not previously considered. Technically, depending on who you ask, you could call my YouTube a failure, right? Depending on who you ask. If you're gonna ask a successful YouTuber who made a career out of their YouTube, me and this YouTube thing I'm doing is an absolute financial failure, right? And not only financial failure, I have taken great loss, technically, if you want to look at it from a CEO perspective. Great losses trying to make this work. But in that, as you said, failure in that effort, I have had to do other things. I had to start making art. I had to start giving yoga classes. I had to start doing mapping for festivals. Now I have to start doing, content marketing for a brand. Like, I don't have to do any of these things, but as I fail to not make enough income to make a living, I have to do other things, right? And in that failure, I'm learning new skills, and I'm kind of like adding more and more to my repertoire of what I think I can do, what I feel comfortable doing. Maybe is the better terminology. Yeah, I'm with that, Joe. If you're not willing to fail, you're not willing to go far enough. My wife's unwillingness to fail is what stops that farms from taking the next step. Yeah, yeah, that is rough, having extra business partners, to say it in so many ways, right? Because then your decision making is different. Rightly so, it should be. But it changes things, unfortunately. I invest in Ducted IPA 5%. Sounds ace. We are married. I get it. Just an example. True. Sounds like a brand I would support. Duck Brew. Does sound cool. Simon, I've had my beer sold on 6 continents and have a few gold medals that the breweries kept, even though my recipes and efforts. That's not bullshit. Now I want one. I've learned very little from success. I have learned a fuck ton from failing. Yeah, that seems to be the way we learn, at least, right? Seems that my high school experience, I mean, I didn't fail high school, but I might as well have. Right? I don't remember much from high school. Just blurry flashes of extreme yikes, you know, like, like don't remind me kind of times. Do you interpret her unwillingness to fail as an unwillingness to try, Mike? I think I think the way that I'm interpreting it, at the very least, nothing is a sure deal, right? And Duck Dad and his wife are in a partnership, and they have a child together, and they have a mortgage, and they have insurance and car payments. I don't know. I don't know. I'm just, adding the American lifestyle or whatever. And in that, it's not necessarily, at least in my mind, an unwillingness to try, or like scared of failing, but like the consequences, right? Like, what are the consequences of failing? And it's like the mind's willingness to catastrophize, imagining losing the house, or having to sell one of the cars, or having to downsize, or being set back a step that you thought you've already gotten over as a hurdle, right? It's so it's so ingrained, and it's very much an ego thing as well, unfortunately. Not saying that any of us are egotistical, but saying that all of us are egos. So, like, from an ego perspective, to give you an idea how my ego has been inflamed as of late, I want an electric car. I really want an electric car. And yes, it is in part because it is more ecological. That one of the most ecological, electric cars is the new Volvo EX30, right? It is, for what good cars are, still relatively affordable, relatively, right? Not to me, but to people that have money, right? And I want to be people who have money so I can drive that car. And again, when it comes to this ego inflammatory experience, I I have a car that works right now, right? Sure, it combusts fuel, but to go to Tinus's place yesterday and to come back here was about 150 rand, so like $7, $8 worth of fuel to travel back and forth, right? It's gonna cost more than that to buy an electric car, even to charge my car from the sunlight, right? I know all of those things, but from an ego perspective, a purely ego perspective, I want that, right? Because it looks good. Because it looks good. Because I want people to see me driving that car. I want people to, and I say people like it's like everybody. It's more like my family, right? My dad. So fucking embarrassing, right? See him, me getting out of that car, right? Because I was now so successful with my business that I can afford said car. And the joke is, I can so clearly see that ego manipulation of like going into debt to buy something you don't need to impress people you don't like, right? And it's not like I don't like, maybe it's a little bit of don't like, but like feeling like that is what your value is supposed to be, or that is how your value will be measured. Thinking about how, even though I know, right, there's a dual motor and a single motor version of that car, even though I know the dual motor version is less efficient and technically would be the worst choice for South African roads because of that efficiency, I still want that one because it has a 0 to 60 of 3.6 seconds, right? Which is like a supercar, like an actual supercar for 40 grand, which is bonkers. It's like it's literally unheard of before the year, 2020, when electric cars really started coming online. So there is this internal battle that all of us fight, right? In that way, where we could literally, right, if we play our cards wrong, we can like sink our business by buying a car. We can do that, right? Very easily. So simple. Sink your whole business by buying something that you do not have to cash flow for. So, yeah, I think it's one of those. I think it's one of those where not everybody wants to sit down and have that conversation with themselves. And I don't even know if I am ready to have that conversation with myself, right? I'm just gonna keep pushing, I think, until I can do it, until it can make sense. How long do I have to wait? This is where the other side of me kicks in, where the longer I wait, the better the tech is that I get to buy eventually. So there's this other side of me, the version of me that wanted to stay on the farm forever, right, and just do these live streams. There is a version of me that did that, right? He's still on the farm doing just the live stream, no yoga, no art, just the live stream is enough because this is me giving my soul. Don't you know my soul is enough? Don't you know? Haven't I haven't I asked and haven't you told me? But I am now laying it on thick. But it couldn't be. It couldn't be. We have to do more. And I don't think that's gonna stop anytime soon, right? I just imagine what it's gonna look like again, 10 years from now. Because the version of me that's infinitely patient will just sit and wait for the world to catch up, which sounds very egotistical. And it is. That's the thing. I believe that version of me is max selfish, right? The version of me that was like, bro, I will do nothing else. The world will have to revolve around me. People will have to feed me. But no, no. And the best part is I wanted to do that. A part of me, part of my ego, believed that that was just, right? It was just to do one thing and only this thing for the rest of your existence. It felt pure. And I don't think I'm any less pure in this showing up, but I am aware, again, from an ego perspective, how the other things is now influencing this thing that in my mind used to be pure to what it is, or what I thought it was supposed to be, which is again conscious evolution. And maybe, and I trust, and it's because of a conversation I had last night, this could still serve as that, right? I was asking the question of like, how do I do it right? Like, I'm of course paraphrasing, but like that was the nature of the question. And Quibus told me that all you have to do is do what's right, do what you love, do what brings more beauty into the world, and succeed, and show the world that. Right? And I know that seems like very like good. I know it starts with $1 million and then be a millionaire kind of advice, but it still checks out to me of what we've been doing, right? How this journey has evolved alongside you friends, having seen you grow, having seen you change this experience as well. It is something interesting we're busy with. Melida talking about popping in the 22nd minute of stream. Nice. Sending you blessings. I'm gonna add some more heat. What's Melt liking to talk about today? We're talking about asking and how asking more of yourself is something you can do. Let me just say it like that. Asking more of you is something the world will do. Asking for help is not shameful. We're talking about that. Marketing and learning from failure. This is also true. Doug, that's so fucking cool. Didn't you share beer with the MXPX or something too? Jovan, yeah, failure to route to success. Sam, she's an accountant by design. She's cautious, and we have a family. She's willing to try on the small scale, but I don't see her ever being willing to try on the large. It's why I do everything on a shoestring budget to try to maximize output with minimal input in hopes that someday I prove it enough. Yes, Joe, I did brew a beer for MXPX as a tribute to their album, Pokinacha. I hope I didn't butcher that, I probably did, but that's super cool. Straight line goals with minimal margin for forgiveness and a lesser beam focus will always yield the results we seek. Walking the walk while living in a constant changing environment is a tough one. Yeah. What Dr. just said is the conundrum that I've been talking about today. Because my mind understood that this thing we're doing right now, if given enough time, will yield results that we cannot understand right now. Right? And I wanted to dedicate myself purely to that and see that through because I knew it would be difficult to do in and of itself. And I thought, because I'm doing this difficult thing, I deserve to not do anything else but this difficult thing. Right? That's literally how I was reasoning on an ego level. It's like, oh, I'm doing difficult things, so I need to be chillaxing. Don't look at me. I'm not gonna do anything else. Only chillax when I'm not working. Right? And I found, unfortunately, that that doesn't satisfy me, which is a bummer. It's a real fucking bummer. Imagine if I had, you know, just less hunger, I guess. And weirdly enough, I wonder. I have an extreme appetite for food as well, right? I wonder if your appetite for food, like actual like wanting to eat, has anything to do with your ambition and your drive and your willpower as well. Which seems so crazy if you really think about that. What I'm thinking about, and this is going to be again something that we might have data for even, if we have good enough analytics. There's a lot of Ozempic being used in the world right now, which is technically, in so many words, a appetite suppressant, and it is very popular. I'm curious. I'm very curious to see how that's gonna, affect things as well. Let's see. I mean, I wonder if there's any studies done on that. That feels like something another engineer or scientist would have asked the question of. Hmm. Is there any link between ambition, business drive, or willpower, an actual appetite, or the hunger, the need for food, the willingness to eat large volumes? There is an intriguing connection between ambition, business drive, willpower, and actual appetite or hunger. While these connections are not absolute and vary between individuals, such factors contribute to the link between psychological traits and physiological hunger. It could be, in part, a hormonal influence, where stress and ambition can affect hormone levels. For example, cortisol, the stress hormone, tell me about it, can affect and increase appetite and cravings for high energy foods. People with high ambition and drive might experience more stress, which in turn can influence their eating habits. You don't know me. Reward systems. The brain's reward system plays a significant role in both ambition and appetite. Dopamine, a neurotransmitter associated with pleasure and reward, is activated by both goal achievement and eating. Individuals who are highly driven might seek out food as a reward or a comfort mechanism. 3. Energy requirements. It's ambition, and being ambitious and highly driven people have demanding schedules, which can increase their energy requirements. As a result, they might experience increased hunger and a need for more food to fuel their activities. Mindset and discipline. Willpower and self discipline can impact eating habits. Highly driven individuals might apply the same discipline they use in their professional lives to their eating habits, either by controlling their intake meticulously or by allowing indulgence as a form of reward. Like, I love how I literally reframed in my own mind, instead of calling them cheat days, I call them days of indulgence. And that feels like even more on the button. Emotional eating. Unfortunately, I think that I've gotten a lot better at that. I'm eating significantly less in that emotionally distraught state, which I'm very, very happy about. High levels of ambition and stress can come with and can lead to emotional eating. Food can be a source of comfort and a way to cope with the pressures of the ambitious pursuits. Interesting. You know, the more we know about ourselves, maybe the more we can know about others as well. I asked a large language model a question and learned something about myself. How about that for put it in your weapons, Smokums? I think I'm missing a bunch of comments, but I'm gonna be catching up. Love to all of you friends for being here and filling the space with your presence. Oh, if there is one thing, is my wife's brain willingness to do, it's catastrophize. Yeah. Yeah. We're really good at it. This world will align with our goals if we can draw a straight line and traverse that line between the sands before the sands start to shift. It's not as simple as it sounds, though. No. I didn't realize that I made the same point twice. Let me try and say it in another, in yet another way. You're loved, bro. Like the more we feel we understand something, the more we repeat it, right? Kind of like in our own minds of like, yes, this concept. Man, I cared about the car thing too when I was 26. The I'll show you mentality. Fast forward to now. I sold my fancy nice car and drive a rust bucket. Yeah, it's interesting. Maybe there's something with me being 26 that has that as an attachment. It is numerologically the eight number, right? The infinity number. And those infinity symbols kind of look like wheels. That must be it. That's boom. Connection. I solved it. Give me the top prize. No, that's probably not it. That's probably not it. But I am curious as to these patterns again, right? And this might be one of those things that you might not be very comfortable thinking about, but when our species adopts brain-computer interfacing as a norm, we will have such incredible data about the human journey and about what you can expect about the lessons you might have to be prepared for. You know what's interesting? Maybe if I got that car this year, I could end up killing myself in it because it's my like I'm not technically past my rock star age, right? I could still die young and beautiful. I have to live past 27 before I'm out of the clear. So maybe that's why I never had fancy car. Checks checks out more bad reason. I hope that it's clear that when I do this, I kind of like indulge the ego mind, right? And I kind of like just give it some fuel of like I see some sort of ridiculousness spawning, and I'm like, yeah, do the ridiculous, do it. And then I get to as consciousness, sit back and laugh at the controversy that is the mental mind. And then I feel sometimes I'm misinterpreted, right? Where people take me seriously when the ego isn't something that's supposed to be serious, right? It's literally like a mask, like a play, like a play. I like that word specifically. It's a play. This is supposed to be a play. And then we get very caught up in our own roles, right? For some reason, this version of me in this play wants to drive a nice car. Whoa, no, 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 no. I hear you so clearly, Duck. I have loved ones close to me that are quite fearful as well. They do keep us in check and safe, but at the same time, encouraging dreams goes a far way too. And for mouth helping, I have gratitude. You are loved, dear friend. I'm grateful for you too. Gratitude list is powerful, true. Just reminding yourself of one thing you're grateful for right now, every now and then, makes a difference to your day as well. I saw someone post something today. Devin, one of my friends. One of the friends I met at one of my other friends' weddings. He wasn't my friend before that wedding. But he took one look at me and was like, "You have weed." And I did. I, in fact, rolled a little mini joint that I had in a metal tube. that was attached to my car keys. Not my car keys, the car I was being lent, his keys. And me and him smoked that joint together, and we went back and we ate wedding food. It was nice. It was very nice. And then at the conclave party, with me looking like this, right? Like the way I used to. Do I want to show you? I used to not look like this. Imagine me, slick back hair, right? And then like button up, like long sleeve shirt. That was like my dress attire, and like skinny jeans and black shoes, black leather shoes. That was the vibe I was rocking day to day. That was definitely the vibe I would have rocked going to a wedding. And I'm still, like going by my old name. And he sees me at this conclave party, and he goes, "Hey, dude." And I see him, and I like feel like I recognize this face, but I can't place it. He goes, "Do you remember me?" And I'm like, "You look familiar." He's like, "We met at the wedding." And I go, "Oh, me and you met at Nathan's wedding. We smoked a joint together." And he's like, "Yeah." And he's like, "How are you?" And he says my old name. And I'm like, what? That was 5 years ago, like literally multiple different melts ago. Still remembers me like that. And he posted this thing on his status today. A little bit of side story, sorry. Where he goes, regret, no amount of regret has ever changed the past. No amount of anxiety has ever changed the future. But any amount of gratitude will change your present. And I was like, yeah, I know that's cliche or whatever, but it was a good like thing to remind myself of as well. And I felt sharing it with you, sharing what you share, dear friend. Gratitude is powerful indeed. I hear Mel talking about doing things and becoming a doer. I emphasize mild. It's this stage of the sustaining interest as your mind learns to digest in new ways the thing. It's true, right? I'm trying to figure out which parts of the thing I want to digest as well, because I'm clearly realizing that I have an appetite for certain things, and certain things do not sit well with my digestion, right? Because we are consuming and giving back to this experience ceaselessly. I got to work, you friends got my gears turning. We love you, Joe. Tell Joe she's amazing for being such a hard worker. Tell her. Be like, you rock, Joe. Tell her. Tell her quickly. I forget to eat once I'm engaged in what I'm doing with my full will. Yeah, that is kind of nice in a way as well, where you like that hunger that you feel in food gets satiated in that ambition being fulfilled, right? Because it's like almost like you're engaging the same part of yourself. And I get completely what you're saying, Lita. I love my wife to death, but encouraging is not something I will ever feel. Encouragement is not something I will ever feel. She was never encouraged. It's just not her way. Love is true. I don't like, as you know, like this is how it is kind of statements. Because not being encouraged by your wife, not being encouraged by anyone in your life, maybe I just have very high standards, right? I don't think I allow people in my life that's not encouraging, which might be very psychopathic, right? And I'm willing to acknowledge that. It's not psychopathic, maybe sociopathic. I guess it's a survival trait as well. But again, right? I'm more than willing to take constructive criticism. If you have paid attention to my patterns and you are noticing that I'm going down a route to ruin my life, and you're trying to give me advice on that, I would listen to you. right? But I feel like I have a track record of taking care of myself and trying to take care of others. So I have come to expect encouragement, right? Because it's hard being a good person too, right? Maybe this like some sort of philosopher going, oh, if it's hard to be a good person, you're not a good person. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Like Quibus, this business owner that I talked to yesterday, he had this analogy that he shared quite a few times, and he talked about it like hunger, and maybe that's where it kind of got hooked for me. But he talked about it like hunger, and he mentioned that anger or uh, like any ism, like any ism of hate, if you will, any bigotry can be like a type of hunger as well, where you might not be hungry in this very moment as you're going about your business. And then something comes upon your way, a nice, like lush meal. I'm saying the word lush to keep it vague for you, but some of you might like cheeseburgers, some of you might not, but in the analogy, a nice cheeseburger comes suddenly, in front of you. Now suddenly you're hungry, right? And in that way, experience is going to arise in our life that suddenly stimulate that arising, right, of a response. And it's not true necessarily any more than it is in that moment of that state of being, of that judgment, of that reaction, right? But it is not the truth of your ultimate being, right? You're not always just there. Like sometimes you've already had the burger and you're like putting another burger in front of you isn't going to be met with the same experience, right? There's now suddenly a change of priorities because of that hunger having been satiated. And that hunger being satiated in an experience like anger, right? Where you might not be an angry person day to day to day, but then something happens in your immediate environment where you just fucking lose it, right? And then suddenly that might be you judging yourself about like, I should never be angry. I should always be a good person, right? And because I got angry this time, maybe I'm not a good person. And then that whole judgment of self and that self doubt and the amount of again, like mental gymnastics we do. To bring it back to the extreme topic, you can ask. You can ask your fellow peers if you're doing okay. If they care about you, they'll let you know. Oh, no, 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 no. No, 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 no. We were talking about getting encouraged. That took us down a rabbit hole and a half. Melita, that's called ADHD. We smell our own. I have this fantasy of operating a breakfast truck, like an ice cream truck, but instead of shitty SpongeBob shaped popsicles, it sells on demand biscuits and gravy. Husband is not going for it yet. I mean, biscuits and gravy, ice cream truck, but instead of shitty SpongeBob, biscuits and gravy. That should be very doable, right? Because like usually if you want to open like a food van, you have to consider like energy usage and like what you're gonna use to keep your stuff at a servable temperature. But biscuits and gravy could be pretty doable. You could like prep as well. I mean, set up a business plan. Set up a business plan. Maybe as well, if you're gonna do it, like wait another 5 years for our like fold out solar and battery tech to mature just a little bit more, and then you do a solar van, right, where you drive it wherever your thing is gonna be, and then you fold out from the roof two solar panels. Like the surface area of the one becomes three here, one there, one there. Then that has an awning for your business facing front where your customers don't have to stand in direct sunlight, and then that puts in inside of your van. Technically, your van's actual higher like energy usage as well. And for like gravy, you'll need maybe you can use an element, might not be the best idea. Maybe an induction heater, with a pot that keeps your gravy, and then you can like do batches to make sure you always have a fresh batch. Or I don't know if it would be advisable doing propane actually, because you're gonna be inside an enclosed space, and we know now that not all of our propane gets combusted. There's toxic particulates in our air, unfortunately. So yeah, it could be done. It could feasibly be done, and it could also be an adventure, right? Worth having. Charge your vehicle on the sunlight, serve people food from the sunlight, They can like do it like a whole, food warmed by the sun. I would go and eat some biscuits and gravy warmed by the sun. That sounds sick. That sounds sick. I want some. Give me some, Sam. Boom. There you go. You got your business plan. That sounds very doable. But again, right? Give it 5 years. Spend the 5 years actually saving. Actually, right? Set up a certain percentage that you can manage. Maybe cut something out, right? If that is what you want to do, what are you doing right now that is not serving that doing? And if this thing costs you money, then repurpose that money towards this thing that will serve you. Spend the next 5 years, and then we can build one of those. Like, you might even have more money than you need. Cash flow is going to be important for starting that business too. So I see it, Sam. Do you see it? Melt, you have to learn the theory crafting step that goes with the external exposure step as you sustain interest. I mean, unfortunately, it's a little bit hard when I'm doing like a now 47-minute stream and people end up coming in like at the 20-minute mark sometimes, because I can theory craft and tell a story to the best of my ability, but if you weren't there for the start of the story, you might feel like you're lost, right? And I do try and like wrap it back, so that the tumble keeps happening. But this is harder than I expected it to be sometimes as well. It gets easier and harder no matter how long I do it, which is also kind of, I don't know if it's concerning. Disheartening is also not the right word exactly. Interesting. Let's call it interesting. It's like, wow. Croatia weather was horribly hot yesterday or recently. Now I don't feel like a pancake finally. Bless you. I'm so sorry and I'm happy that it's cooling down at least a little bit for you. It's going beautifully. Sam, wanna double divorce and I'll start the brekkie truck with you. Even though I know you're joking, uh, maybe it's just me, bro. Maybe I'm just like a little bit too like. But yeah, love is true. Let's just say so. I love the breakfast food. Can fix Marcus who's chef. Mel, it's still that bad here. I'm dreading my workday today. 90 Fahrenheit of 95% humidity. I'd call it the fried egg and play country music to draw people out of their houses. Is there gonna be fried eggs? Fried eggs will use a lot of energy. It could be done. Maybe again with induction plates. I don't know how efficient they are, but you could do the math. You could do the math. You can like calculate the maximum draw of the plates that you will be running, see what temperatures you need, see what level of the thing you need to get your gravy up to the temperature you wanted, see what temperature you need to get your eggs to the right bakedness. Fried egg? Yeah, the right friedness, of course. And then you can basically just run that against the amount of battery storage you have. Does sound like a cool idea. Like, sounds like a really cool idea. Like, I actually do like it. Sounds like an adventure. Who am I kidding? Wife business partner Sam would murder me in my sleep on the first day. You would be served as a part of the gravy stock the next day, bro. A mobile breakfast truck that circles the neighborhood and stops for early risers on their way to work. Genius. Yeah. Fortunately, you can't be on every block stop at the same time, right? Do some sort of superposition. The fried egg, the superposition egg would be cooler, but it would be very nice as well. Maybe you can drive past like business sectors too. I don't know if they allow you to do stuff like that, but you playing your biscuits and gravy song. Biscuits and gravy, come and get yours now. Come out your offices and push gravy in your mouth. No, please stop, Mr. Jingles, please. Oh, Sam, you would do the breaking truck here and just go to the individual. It like literally, of course, you're saying the exact same thing. The industrial building, which are everywhere, and they have a line every day. Brah, me and you are in the same frequency on that. Fuck right, it's on my mind all the time. Everyone wants breakfast. No one wants to fucking make it. If someone is slowly driving around my neighborhood playing country music when I'm trying to sleep, someone is getting hit with a frying pan. Sounds about right. Pancakes and chicken strips and biscuits and gravy and bacon and sausage and I mean, the more items you have on your menu, the more logistics, and the more containers, and the more spaces for things, and the more pots you have to keep clean, and you don't want cross contamination. So maybe some of those items. What's your menu gonna be like, Sam? Just biscuits and gravy, or are you gonna do something more? Maybe some fried eggs on the side, if people want a fried egg with their biscuits and gravy. Mm-hmm. How high their menu prices are. The iron is hot now. This is true. Literally. Poor Melt. He's gonna get these comments and be so angry. Yeah, it's fine. I'm not really that angry. I'm pretty chill, actually. I'm pretty cool, you know, fellow kids. I'm pretty cool, right? Nudges. I'm cool, right? Right? Yeah. Yeah, I thought so. I'm gonna stop now. Can't eat McDonald's anymore. Too much extra junk in that kind of food. Bruh. Bruh. I ate some KFC a few nights ago. That did not agree with me, bro. Like the next day, and even that night, I was like not having a good time, bro. Like my body was like, why? Why would you do something like that? Like actually tell me. Like what did I do to deserve these feelings? So, and it was like relatively expensive still as well, right? I could have bought significantly more protein for the same amount of capital value. So it's not only for me even a matter of like I don't enjoy it anymore. I don't actually enjoy it. How did they manage to make their food so expensive and that unenjoyable all at the same time? Kind of baffles my mind. I mean, I hear like a voice in my head scream, "Capitalism!" That's a good point. Grocery store, coffee shop. Sounds pretty awesome too. Grocery store, coffee shop. Like, you friends are not considering the logistics. That coffee shop maybe, but grocery store, nay. Our comment. Maybe if you have like again, like maybe just a fridge on wheels, and then you park that fridge, and then there's like a vending machine kind of vibe. But again, then we're just back to vending machines. Grocery store vending machines. Your comment is making me miss the sandwich shop I used to love visiting. This cute couple made fresh food. Yeah, that does sound nice. I suck at asking for help. Probably I just suck. I mean, if you believe that or don't, both is true. For one, if that was a cry for help, that's me trying to help. And for two, I don't think we are taught really how to ask for help. I feel generally people don't want to help, unfortunately, in a way. Right? Even your parents, even my parents, they were like, helping was kind of like a, they wanted to get you to the point where you don't need help. That was like very much, at least for me. I don't know if it was the same for you. Like growing up, being grown up, was not needing help with things. And in that way, it like clashes with our very fundamental egos of I'm an adult, I'm a grown ass man kind of mentality of not asking for help, because you asking for help is you again being in that infantile state of having not reached the point of not needing help. Right? Maybe I'm overdoing the psychological analysis, but that's at least the way that I have interpreted it. Sam, I'm pretty sure it won't kill me, but I've seen so many documentaries. I now have trust issues. It won't kill you. It will just make your gut go, what the fuck? And then you'll get over it again. Right? That's kind of my experience with fast food these days. Like, what the, whoa, what's going on? And then it goes away again. But still. And their breakfast and those are pretty safe, Joe. It's hard to pack on a lot extra things to an egg and a piece of sausage between a biscuit. Yeah. Still. Your comment, love is true. Good morning, Mountain Chat. Long time no see, Agent 427, Agent K. It's nice seeing you too, bro. I've been making my first video game. It's called Hellshade. Now, has the community been in my absence? Any news on your end, Mel? Things have been good. I've been showing up. I've been asked for help. I've been asking for help. I've been asked to help asking. I have been asking the people that would ask for an ask that will give them more asks. To speak in the vaguest of terms, things are going well, dear friend. Love is true. Today's stream topic is about asking things, and I feel we're supposed to get better at it. Have you gotten better at asking? Did you have to ask yourself, what am I going to do with my time before you started developing your game? How's that been? Surrounding yourself with supportive people is just a healthier thing to do. I agree. I completely agree. Thank you for affirming it so beautifully, Kristen. Encouragement and support are not the same thing, but they both come from a place of love. Having someone support you is also a very big push. Not everyone can be a cheerleader. This is true. Yeah. Support and encouragement. They are kind of, in the same world, but you might be able to support someone financially, for example, but might not have the capacity to encourage them emotionally or with your words, with your verbiage. So in that way, yeah, support and encouragement are not always the same. These two make it simple for my brain. I think we all have our own energy fields, and sometimes turmoil is caused by a difference in these frequencies. As you say, you hunger when stimulated to hunger, but not necessarily before. It's just us trying to get on the same page and not realizing we may be flipping the pages in the wrong direction. Yeah. Going too many this way and going too many that way. Not everyone can take away a positive, motivating experience from getting a feedback. Yeah, also true. But at the same time, maybe you don't always have to. Maybe it's healthy for you to not take, feedback well in that moment. Maybe that overreaction can teach you something about yourself that you wouldn't have known if you took it well. Right? Again, conscious evolution comes in whether you want it or not. It will come. You will consciously evolve. You will. You might bash your head against the same lesson over and over again until you have to start over with a new life. But you will consciously evolve. Reminding ourselves love is true as we do, right? Love is true over and over and over and over and over again. Namaskaram. There we go. Namaskaram to you, dear friend. Simon, are you feeling better? Glitchy, glitchy. Bruh. Hope that fixes things a little bit. Sorry for the glitchy glitchies. Melt, what did you ask again? I slept in because something day? What did I ask again? I asked many things. Maybe just how are you? That one is easy. I can ask that again. Pop-up breakfast truck, superposition breakfast truck would be pretty dang cool, can't lie. I mean, right, no matter where you are in town, you get to have the exact same delicious breakfast that you have come to expect. I'm munching toasted sesame seeds. Some blessed. Must be for the season for it. You aren't alone in the struggle. Well, yes, every time I eat KFC, my body is angry at my brain. Body says, why did you do this to me? Yeah. Like, it's not fun. I don't appreciate that experience at all. Like, my state of being, right, again, like, I think of it as like how many moments have I been experiencing one thing as to the next? And maybe there is some, right? And again, it is some. It's not maximum. It's not as much as it could be. There is some enjoyment in the moment of eating this kind of food. But then the amount of moments I spent afterwards regretting it and feeling that body load, it feels like I'm losing more than I'm getting from that experience. So I'd rather just not. Especially since you're paying more. You're paying more for less and to feel worse, right? It's like so many vectors at the same time. And at the same time, it has like this addictive quality to it too. Church's Chicken is where we go, and the rule in our household is we go to the chicken place in the hood always. Never go to the gentrified KFC in the mall parking lot. Checks out. The Aliasm goes deep, disturbingly so. The ableism goes deep, disturbingly so. For my makeup, I mean, I can only imagine. With today's stream topics, do you have any questions you are afraid to ask yourself? For me, I want to ask why I still sabotage myself, but I know I won't like the answer. It's a good question to ask. The question that I ask myself is like one of ego today. And I don't know if I'm scared to ask it. I'm just more scared of the answer. Because the question I asked is, will I let my inflamed ego affect my decision making? Right? And that question is still to be determined. Still to be determined, so I have asked, but the answer will come. And I think asking the question already gives you some leeway to at least try and answer right. So we show up slowly but surely. Please offer your take. I'm always open to discussion. Love is true, bro. I can answer that if anyone wants their day ruined, Asian. Do answer. Why do you think we self-sabotage? Why have I self-sabotaged? Self-sabotage in my life looks like being or believing I'm supposed to be a provider, right? Because as soon as you take up that kind of mentality, and this is me again asking now a question of myself, that's what I was thinking in that moment. When you take up that role as a provider, you almost from an ego perspective again subjugate yourself to footing the bill, right? Like there's a certain level of like, okay, I am provider, so I provide. And in my life, I've noticed that there is this like inkling of self-sabotage where I'm willing to give literally everything to the last like dollars I have. I will give everything. And that seems to be my means of self-sabotage. So I wonder if that energy of self-sabotage is always present and it just manifests in different ways. The way you tend to maybe that could be the way to deal with self-sabotage. Like self-sabotage yourself in good ways, right? Start spending all of your money on other people so that you have to work so hard that you end up becoming massively successful. Just so you can keep spending all of your money kind of vibes. And I'm joking, but I'm also not, right? It is kind of one of those things. So we'll see. Question to be determined, right? We'll see. You self do not feel like you deserve good things for one reason or another. It is a self-castration, a punishment to purge yourself or whatever behavior you deem is unacceptable. That is a good way to see it. It is unacceptable to have money, right? Eat the rich and such, whatever. It's unacceptable to be successful. It's unacceptable to be affluent when there is suffering. So I'm trying to apply the lesson, the wisdom that Sam shared to my self-sabotage, right? Like why? How is some part of my subconscious justifying that? And again, not only is my subconscious trying to justify it, but my conscious mind justifies as well, right? And the way the conscious mind justifies in me is that I have been put in a position where I have the finances to take care of things. And because I am in the position in that moment to take care of things, I do. And I wouldn't have been in that position if I didn't get to be, right? Kind of vibes. Like again, the love is true philosophy of I'm not here by force. Right? I literally can just lay down and die. No, you can't, Mel. Yes, I can. Yes, I can. No, Mel. No, I will. I could. I guess. Right? Just lays down. Doesn't eat anything again. It's like no, bro. I'm done. I'm just gonna die now, bro. Lays down. That is a possibility. One of an infinite amount of possibilities that you're gonna have on this planet. But no, I don't think that's why we're here. That's not why I'm here. And this conversation was had, right? When I registered my business, I made a promise, a legal promise to CIPC that I will earn money, right? The sole reason my business exists is to make money. That's why it exists, right? And that changes things. That changes some things at the very least. And I can't have it changing me, right? I feel like that's the part that I'm trying to like bring myself back to. And again, with the whole unworthiness, maybe that's why I want to play that role, because it gives me an ego reason to take more wealth, because it's like, yeah, I didn't need any of it. I could live that life of like, what's money, when I didn't have any responsibilities. But now that I have these responsibilities, I can justify making the money because of these responsibilities I have. Seems pretty contrived. That's all I know, right? And again, having the conversations I had last night, That seems to be the way it works for uh, the idealistic. You know, like you end up being idealistic, you have these hopes and dreams, and then reality seems to be like, nah, and then you buckle eventually, or you die. And I don't know if I want to do either. I want to melt into the crevices. That sounds so scoffed. I know, but that's exactly what needs to happen. I need to find myself somewhere in the middle, somewhere balancing, you know, these chaotic worlds that we make ourselves a part of. I'm working on maintaining friendships that I all need to do. All I need to do is maintain friendships. I don't define strictly for myself, but sharing. I think that's a good thing maybe to ask of yourself. The Christian church preaches something to be asked for and given based on worthiness, cutting us off from the ability to give that to ourselves as well. Yeah, that is one of the primary reasons why I completely renounced Christianity. Because forgiveness is for yourself, right? You don't have to forgive yourself, but forgiveness is for yourself, right? Again, it's an ego thing. Like, in the ultimate, like in the grand scheme of things, kind of vibes, right? Nothing matters. And in that way, forgiveness is an experience that you give to yourself as someone that is angry. And it's, for me, one of the most evil things about Christianity is the fact that they stole that from humanity, right? Like it's a fucking trip. We can forgive ourselves. I agree this too, of course. Of course I agree. But again, that whole when you forgive another person, you are doing it for yourself is like dual language, right? One, you are doing it for yourself, egotistically. Oh, I'm angry at this person. I'm gonna forgive them to free me. Instead of continuing in the state of like, fuck this guy, fuck this guy. I'm just gonna not. I'm gonna free me. I'm gonna forgive that guy for me to not feel that way. And then on the secondary, like wider perspective, you know that that person is you. They're you, right? Another lens of you, another fractal of the you think you are, and you, in forgiving them, are forgiving yourself, literally. So yeah, again, that's not exactly the way the religions choose to see it, but that was Jesus' teaching. Surprise, surprise. You know, bring back the Book of Thomas. We actually got a friend named Thomas. I think it's Thomas Scott. I should probably not dox you. I'm sorry, friend. I started to, but I did stop myself. Thomas, bless you, friend. He became a new melting member yesterday. I really appreciate that. Love is true. He joined the Patreon garden. Has now access to all of my flowers. Mm, Powerful words, Melt. And Sam, I had religion forced on me as a kid. I, like many people in this world, and this is why I'm not religious. I think it goes to an extent cause this gap of perceived worth. I struggle with my own self-worth all the time, Pojo says. I very rarely feel like I deserve any of these blessings that I experience, yet I still have the blessings. It's a hard place to understand sometimes. Yeah, right? Because it messes with your brain where you get into this, again, ego kind of like tumble where you're like, I'm experiencing these blessings. I don't feel worthy of these blessings. I have to, because of this feeling of unworthiness, live in a way where I deserve to get these blessings that I'm getting. And then also at the same time, maintaining that humility and that state of humble being, that state of, I don't deserve this, and almost like gaming yourself into thinking that that helps. Because now that I'm humble about all of these blessings I'm getting, the universe might give me more blessings, people might give me more blessings because of how Yeah, we do a lot of mental gymnastics, right? Again, I try to simplify it with love is true. If you're living from that place of love towards others and towards yourself, it makes all of the rest of the decision making a lot easier. Mel, you will do it with flair. You will do it with flair, flair the ego, and flair your chosen forms of expression. Yeah, this I'll do. Don't you worry about that. That I'll definitely do. I just need cash flow. I want, I don't need anything. I want lots of money. And with that lots of money, I'm gonna make lots of beauty. And then I'm going to share all of that with people. Right? And again, the people will get to see the beauty, and the people that have the money will pay for it. Like, that's the way, at least in my mind, it should be. Freaking Robin Hooding it, but not stealing the rich's money, transforming it. Right? I take numbers and make something out of nothing. There used to be nothing, now there's something because of numbers, right? That is power. That is a different person. Well, at least we've been convinced. We've been convinced it's power. Again, if you don't know how to apply, there's a lot of very uncreative rich people. It hurts. It hurts. Like, actually, there's a certain level of emotional and physical pain I experience when I think about it. The amount of just numbers that are just laying there again, like the dead freaking bacteria eating their dead corpses, multiplying. You know, they call that interest. Same thing. How much money is not working? And then again, those who are making the money work are those who have the most of it. So, well, at least work in a way where it's literally just being moved around. Like, they're not being applied again. Like, there's no value being added other than arbitrage, other than speculation, other than market cap, other than saturation, other than consumer reports. Like, it is. How do we reach a society? How do we reach post scarcity, right? Like, thinking about the whole Star Wars fractal. Do we need replicators? Do we have to get to that point? I had this conversation last night about the mining industry, right? And how, in my mind, ideally, everywhere we mine things, we build communities, right? If you're gonna make a massive scar into the earth, right, do it with the intention of filling that scar with this little city or a town, right? Self-sustaining little town. And you build it like that right from the get-go. Like, that is a part of the process. And I know I can hear the people that have been in the industry, and my dad has been one of those people, and this guy I talked to last night has been one of them as well. The mines have this way of going through the processes they're supposed to go through, basically ticking boxes on their legislation. And after those boxes are ticked, they throw their hands up and they don't want to do anything else. Surely the robots will help. 3D printing, both of the small scale and of the structure scale, will help. How long will it take before we don't think about money as a concept? We just look at what we have in this area, we look at how it's being purposed, we look at the plan, and we determine based on a vote whether or not this is something the community wants. And then there's no money involved. There's just things getting done. Like, this is what we're gonna do. We're doing it. Makes do. Yes, see. How do you say the right words? Maybe that is the question I have to ask. Can you tell me what are the right words to say? How do I convince people? How do you convince yourself sometimes? Right? Sometimes it's hard to convince yourself to get out of the bed, so Jeebs. Maybe it changes from day to day. I I've read those ones as well. I don't like organized religion as a practice. It causes more harm than good. Instead of that, I think people should be more spiritual and less religious. I do agree with that sentiment. Joe, you have a very keen self awareness, and that's good. It's a healthy thing, but it can contribute to problems with our perception when we make it our sole focus. Yeah, and spending a lot of time with yourself also makes it impossible to not make it the sole focus. All right, that's why we've been encouraging Joe Po to get out there a little bit as well. I think for me, I feel like I deserve forgiveness because of the way I don't feel like I forgive deserving because of the way I've been. But not allowing yourself to forgive yourself keeps you trapped in this cycle. Now allowing you to heal or to grow. Yeah, cut yourself some slack and realize things ain't that shabby. I mean, yeah, like it can be hard for all of us, right? Sometimes things can be pretty shabby. Things can be pretty shabby. But again, you are, a bunch of organs and a process encapsulated by bones and a central nervous system, encapsulated by skin and muscle on the surface of a planet hurling through space around a massive burning ball of gas. And that massive burning ball of gas is also flying through space around a supermassive black hole at the center of our small little galaxy, one of many. And again, that might not help, might make you feel even less insignificant, might make you feel even less significant than you are. But again, it's a matter of perspective where if we zoom out a little bit, maybe by the time we come back to our experience, we can see that we couldn't ask necessarily for better. Right? If you were just a consciousness floating in empty void space, think about that. Like really, you're in void of space. There's nothing, consciousness and nothing. Right? The unchanged consciousness and the change, which is just nothing. Maybe there's like some swirlies in the darkness. Maybe, right? If you're lucky, maybe the change is just so full of noise that it just blacks out your vision. And then suddenly you get to be dropped as consciousness into your life. You get to look at your hands, you get to pick something up, you get to prompt your AI to maybe bring you a cup if you have robots in the future and you might be disabled. Like we live in a world where even to that perspective, right? Like the ones that we might think are disadvantaged. And this is like a thing that I've been thinking about a lot as well. It's like in the disabled community, all of those entities, all of those living beings, and not only in human beings but also in animals, like a dog without legs or missing some of their legs, don't want to be dead, right? Like that, the fact of the inaccessibility doesn't make the life experience any less full and beautiful. And the fact that we have at our disposal more and more now tools that is going to make our lives significantly easier and better. I feel like any experience again would be one we can be grateful for, but the ones we get to have on a day-to-day level is, I think, so far beyond us that it's almost like we're reacting in reverse to it. I don't know if that makes any sense, but it's like we're not applying the lesson appropriately. It's like we are experiencing affluence and abundance in a way we could have never imagined, and we hate it, or at least we think it a problem. Maybe again it's a distribution thing where our species could have been, but again, maybe that's the growing pains any civilization has to go through to make the right decisions, whatever those are. Maybe we'll ask the right questions in the future. All change as well. I need to write this down. I mean, it is recorded at the very least. The comments should stay as well. But please do, if any of this resonates with you, do make some notes. You have a very keen self-awareness. Bless again, I've read that one. I stand in the way of myself more than I want to admit. I heavily criticize my own thoughts and actions of what they look like sometimes. When I relax and reflect, I realize there's a doorway through that wall. We can't forgive ourselves. I think I'm missing beats or something. I think for me, I feel like I deserve forgiveness. Oh, I think another one. Yeah, as much as you think you don't deserve forgiveness or praise, you need to give it to yourself to allow yourself to sever the ties from the version of yourself you wish to part from and evolve from. That's a beautiful point you're making. They aren't easy to change, but we certainly can retain our ego. Such stunningly beautiful flowers, they are melt. Thank you. Thank you, dear Kristen. Your love is so felt. Forgiveness from the Lord. That shit is free. Is it? Is it free? All I have to give is my soul and eternal like servitude. Doesn't seem free to me. Doesn't seem exactly free to me. It seems like a pretty tall price, right? That's why I do actually and unironically believe, and I have said this in part, but like the biblical Bible is closer to my idea of what a Satan would be than the actual Satan in that book. Right? Like the way Satan has been depicted makes me think more about myself than the God depicted in that book. Right? Like the Satan is the one that inquires. Like Satan is actually a pretty chill guy in the Bible. If you really like had to tally it up, you know, Satan did this, and that. God did this, and that. Like, you see, bro. That tally, you know, makes your eyebrows go, excuse me, what? Very quickly. You just have to ask for it. It should be the same within yourself, freely given and received, just as it was to us. Yeah, I agree. I feel like internal forgiveness is paramount in the evolutionary process. In a few words, we can free ourselves. We can't free ourselves if we seek forgiveness from an outside source. Yeah. I've said those exact same words to my dad, bro. Where I was like, I get this forgiveness thing you're talking about. But in a way, it's not true. Like it's never the real forgiveness because it's this like again, you know, it's like a contract. It's like you're a company and then you sign a contract with this other thing. And then because you have this contract, now suddenly you are exempt of other thing, right? Like it's literally verbed in that way if you break it down to just the vague, right? Like an I am not down contracting my soul to an entity for this promise of forgiveness, right? And it's this joke of it promises you this thing which you can only give yourself, right? At the end of your life, if you are laying there in your deathbed and you are still harping on about what a horrible person you are and what a horrible life that you've lived and how you deserve nothing but a horrible experience going into hell and I believe that's what you're gonna get. In the same way, I believe if you can make peace with the life that you've lived and you can go into that experience with an acceptance that there is more to experience going forward, you will experience what could be a heaven, right? And outsourcing that to some sort of idea in your head might be very convenient, might give you some comfort, but I don't think it will give you any truth, unfortunately, right? Love is true, and the Bible goes into talking about God as love as well, right? But in that way, the love that is God is forgiveness towards yourself, right? So only loving yourself, maybe you can like mental gymnastics yourself in that way. Maybe only by loving yourself can you forgive yourself. And in that way, only can you forgive yourself through God, if you want to think about it that way. But again, it's up to you, right? Because I think you are God, right? And I might think incorrectly. That is a question I ask every day, and I might get the answer at some point. But nothing has been able to prove to me emphatically that that's not the case. Because there is this thing we call the conscious, and then this thing that we consider the unconscious, right? Like there's technically no proof of that either. And there's a part of our egos that wants to almost pretend that it doesn't exist. But let's talk about it from the perspective of, again, change in the unchanged. There is, for me at least, only one thing you can do in that relationship, or at least the only thing that is of value to do in that relationship, and it is love, right? So it is this duality that is the polarities, and then something higher rising from it, which you can consider Christ consciousness if you choose to do so. And that kind of terminology, at least in my mind, means to the person that is actively in that state of love, that they exist as the harmony, right? As the balancing point, right, between these two extremes. And every single one of us are that, right? Just because you have a Pebness or a gene doesn't make you not that polarity of masculine and femininity. At least that's the way that I choose to see it. Correct. The path. Adjust the action, the world that you have changed. That is a construct that exists in my heart. Just of a man's opinion, I feel you. I feel like an internal forgiveness is paramount in the evolutionary process. In few words, we can free ourselves if we seek forgiveness from an outside source. Yeah, I've already read that one, but reading it again, we can't free ourselves. Like for me, and this is again not advice, this is just experience. My psychedelic experiences are very much filled with that as my understanding, right? When I start coming into my psychedelic experience, I'm faced with the most appalling and hurtful and negative and disturbing and concerning, again, right, like parts of humanity, both in myself and the parts of humanity that I've seen, the parts of humanity that I'm judging, right? And the only way for me to have a good time is to forgive, right? And again, in that moment, you are so clearly aware that this experience arises within, right? That judgment, that anger, that hatred, that conniving, all of that arises from within. And if you're not willing to forgive that in yourself, you will not have a good time. You will not have a good time, all right? And you can wait until you die to be forgiven, or you can start having a good time. Your choice, right? Aren't you the one? Aren't you the one that's a heathen? Not just Sam. Have a good time. To say it in that way might resonate louder in the space. The anatta, the heart chakra's nature is openness. Its element is air. The word anatta means I am unhurt. It is our natural state, untouched by everything and anything, right? And yet still here, present for it from a place of love. It is beautiful. Incoming PSA. Everyone should floss their teeth. This is a good piece of advice. Take care of your dental hygiene. It will save you a lot of money in the future. Perceive slights, the things we carry, or it will just save you a lot of headache. Maybe in the future we have good dental care. That's what I was seeing instead. I was like, no, we'll have good dental care in the future, but it's still gonna be a headache, having to go before you need to. That I'm focusing on evolution. To say it in a way that resonates louder, bless again. I am unhurt. Perceive slights, the things we carry, and put in that space that is supposed to remain free and open. This is what hurts us. The denial of our true nature. The unhurt state. The understanding that nothing can hurt you. Nothing can touch you, and you are but hurting yourself. Again, from that perspective. We're blessed to have breath. We're blessed with these struggles, and we are blessed to be able to talk to other creatures that can identify with us. The alternative is absence of all of these things. Satan is actually a chill guy. I have so much sympathy for Hades. Guys in the prison administration. Literally the only thing he has going for him is his hot wife. But she's only home half the year. Yeah, because of her. I wanted to say something derogatory. Because of her mother, It was gonna be like a joke, but it's not in good taste. So it doesn't matter how you get there, peace of mind and confident approach holds sway over how you walk through this world. The picture changes when the observer is sitting still in their heart. Heavy convictions can blur the image, absolutely. How can we be a part of the same being that we consider God when we all create our own realities? Literally, you cannot experience the world outside of your senses and the world your mind creates. Again, you can. You literally can. Like, and there is like CIA papers about stuff like that, even that document people experiencing things, what you could consider outside of your senses, right? You literally can. Like when you dream and you fall down a building or something like that and you feel that sense of falling, that is you experiencing something outside of your senses, right? This conscious experience that we are a part of is something that each and every single one of us creates. That I do believe. But again, that is God. That is God. And we are co creating this experience we call humanity right now. And it's because we're actively, as individuals, right, as these individuals showing up as this consciousness, that we're having this experience. And I believe this experience is a worthy one, right? The acknowledgement of us all as God, at least in my mind, doesn't take away from you being special and from your experience being unique. In my mind, it makes you so loved by God that you are experiencing your unique experience, right? That if this thing we consider God is so great and so wonderful, why do you exist? If not for love, right? If God didn't love you, love being you, love experiencing the world the way that you choose to experience the world. And again, the only thing that God would ask of you is not for you to beg for forgiveness, at least the God that I choose to, follow within myself, but the God of love, right? Love. That's all I want. Just love. There's nothing of value you can give me. I don't want your money. I don't want your pleading. I don't want your saying sorry. I don't want you asking me for forgiveness. I don't want you repping my son. I don't want any of that. All I want is love, right? That's at least the way that I choose to see it. And it makes it pretty simple. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying everything you perceive is a creation of your own mind. We can astral project and all of the stuff you mentioned because you have the ability to, and that is a part of us. That is godlike, is it not? You can say we are gods. I do believe this. I don't say we are like gods because again, that implies that each and every single one of us are but like a demigod in the same way the Hindus might be, like the multiple different iterations. I think of it from the perspective of, again, polarity. There is this part of God that is the awareness, that is all of us, and then there's the part of God that is the change, the flesh, the material, that is all of us, right? And that interchange is an infinite one. In that way, because of them being positioned in that way, the amount of combinations are infinite, right? And that consciousness that is the unchanged gets to experience everything through the change. But there can only be an experience of everything if there is a polarity created, right? Like a reference. At least that's the way that I choose to see it, right? So that reference, that polarity exists within every single one of us. So we're not all gods in my mind. We're all God. Like a singular unity that is an infinity. But we have talked about that before. That's nothing new. Nothing new here. Nothing new. We've talked about this before. You know. Oh, now we're gonna pull a card. This is basically what I mean. Love is true. We are the artist and also the observer. The painter and the painting. To me, my favorite analogy is the one drop. One of these cards are called the one drop. And it's about this idea, right? That as the water, as a, maybe like you have a cup, right? And you shake that cup of water. And then as the momentum gets reached, you see the liquid suddenly fly over the rim and then break into a singular droplet. And if you could slow it down to an extremely slow speed, you could watch that drop. There is no card 66. It's only 64 cards in this deck. You can see that drop, right, floating through space. And maybe in your mind, you'd be like, that is a drop, and that is the rest of the water. And then as you watch that water droplet fall back into the glass, right, maybe the shape will still be on the outside, and you'll be like, oh, there's the drop. And then as it keeps flattening more and more and more and becomes one with the surface again, now it's just water again, right? This experience of being a human in my mind is like arising as a drop from the infinite ocean. My opinion is we all are the same entity, as you say, and we are merely experiencing life as these different individuals in the same timeline. You will live as everyone to join your chat at some point. Yeah, that is a trip that I like thinking about a little bit, and then I stop. Quantum Leap style 427. Would have been cooler if there was a number 27 card pulled, but I really do like this card as well, so I'm not upset about it. We pulled the Heart Woman card. Look at her holding multiple lilies. The Heart Woman. It's a heavy truth to know that we are basically in control of our own experience. Oh yeah. It makes the responsibility of it a little bit difficult because you're like, oh geez, what are we doing? Why are we doing this? Why are we doing this? Why are we doing something? Hoping that each leap will be the leap home. Love is true. Inner knowing, integrity. The Heart Woman is filled to bursting with the radiance of universal love and light from within. Right? This experiencer, this consciousness comes from within. There's a light, right? My mind is getting woo! She holds in her arms 3 water lilies which represent our potential for enlightenment. And she is surrounded by vibrant feather-like geometry borrowed from a 2006 crop formation. She stands firm in the heart essence and here represents the highest and best in us all. This card requests that you, man or woman, connect with this woman of the heart and your own inner knowing and core integrity. How might you more fully embrace life's potential and live wholly from your heart? What must come to the surface in order for you to live your personal truth? Be not afraid. Release feelings of inadequacy and realize that by the original integrity of your soul, you are a powerful being of manifestation. You are the beloved child of God, perfect and whole, nurtured and loved. Resolve today to connect with your inner knowing and the reality of your divinity. This brilliance is fundamental to all beings. And as you let your gift shine, you also give others permission to do the same. As you are liberated from the worry of not being good enough, your presence will, without doubt, liberate others. Allowing your light to be a beacon of support and encouragement. Woo! We talked about those words today expressly. Allowing your light to be a beacon of support and encouragement in someone's darkness may aid in liberating them from the shadow and dullness that holds many in doubt. Stand fully in your own inner knowing and trust the integrity of your heart. Woo! That was fun. The hard moment today, damn. Yeah, like literally going for that like that line of like you are the beloved child of God. That's the only card in the whole deck that uses language like that. And we were like hitting on that note. And then the hard woman of like the support and encouragement that we provide, the letting our light shine, the letting our light shine, the consciousness that is unchanged, right, is literally the sun, kind of as an energy, right? And this experience that you are is like the particle of light shining forward into this existence. You cannot help it. You are. The feminine that is this flesh, that is this body, is heart woman, right? A woman of heart. And you were talking about the heart chakra as well. You're right, Sam. You did say it in your head, and then I got it as well. Excellent read, chef. Bless. So much support. Thank you again, right? Like I did say thank you to Thomas. I don't know if he's here right now, but I just want to say thank you to you too, Melita. Melita has been a avid supporter of the Patreon flowers, and Kristen too. She was one of the friends that also like really hyped on the support and encouragement fractal. It means a lot, like a lot, a lot. Thank you. Thank you for supporting my flowers. You want to see yesterday's? Let me share with you. Let me show you what yesterday's looked like. This is the one that Kristen really liked. She asked me to post this one on the Google Drive. Simon, bruh. My kalimba has been stolen months ago. Like months ago. Very months ago. And my microphones that I used to play the kalimba with also got stolen. So there's no kalimba happening. This was yesterday's flowers. Well, flower. I mean, I made a bunch of them, but this is the one that ended up making it. No, yeah. Yeah, Melina. Unfortunately. Unfortunate. Unfortunate. I am still trying to financially recover. I'll get those microphones again at some point. They're just really expensive, right? And with like living expenses right now, it's not doable. So again, I am sharing this art because your friends have helped me more than you know by support. You want to see the one I made on the mushy experience? Perfect card for the day, right? Drums. I do have drums. I do still have my cajon at the very least. I just want to show you one more. Look at this one. Look at that. Yeah, more. Make more pretties. I really do like the number one flowers, but when I show them to people, people rarely pick these. Maybe there's like something about consciousness being drawn to the multiple faces. It's also very interesting for me to see what people like and don't like. I am very cold. It is getting cold. I'm going to read a goodbye message and I'll maybe hit my drum a time or two. A time or two. Today, we talked about asking. How we can be asked things. How can we ask people things? How can we ask of ourselves? How can we be asked by people to do things that we didn't even know we could? Please help us write a poem and a Shan message that beautifully encapsulates this willingness to ask, and especially the gratitude that we can express in the ask being given. Is this an audio log? No, I do like a little language model thing. It helps with the goodbye message being generated when our friends are a little bit too busy. Or a prompt. Yeah. So, the power of asking. In the quiet moments when doubt takes hold, we find our strength in stories told. To ask is brave, to seek is wise, for in our asking courage lies. How do we ask? And ask with grace, with open heart in every place. To seek from others, to ask of self, unveils the treasure on the shelf. For when we ask, we start a quest, a journey towards our very best. And in the asking, bonds are made, with every answer, fears allayed. So ask with kindness, ask with might, for asking turns the dark to light. In every question, hope will rise to meet the world with open eyes. To those who answer, hearts aglow, our gratitude will let them know. For every ask, a gift received. In the exchange, we are believed. Thank you for the courage shown. In every ask, in seeds we've shown, in seeds we've sown. For in the asking, we unite and find our path, our guiding light. Today, this is not exactly a Shan message, but I'll read it exactly as it was written, just for the sake. I have like 5% battery left as well. Melty, your artwork is getting pretty damn impressive. Love you, bro. Thank you, man. Would be cute to make one at the end of the day. It would. I've thought about it. The only problem is they don't allow me to just add voice notes to my flowers yet. Maybe they will eventually. It was always pretty, but there has been an evolution in the flowers that is awesome to see. They have changed. This is definitely true. I have like a few percentages left. Quality narration. Thank you, bro. Today we explore the profound ass. The profound ass. That's a line, bro. Today we explore the profound art of asking. How can we ask others for what we need? How can we ask for ourselves the strength to ask for more? In the act of asking, we open doors to possibilities we never imagined. Remember, the courage to ask is a gift. And for every question posed, for every request made, there is a heart willing to respond. It's literally giving me the poem as a goodbye message. Let us be grateful for those who listen and answer, for they enrich our journey with their support. That they do. Embrace the power of asking. It is a bridge to growth, connection, and infinite potential. Thank you for every ask that you've made and for every answer given. Today we create a tapestry of shared wisdom and mutual support. I hope you, friends, have an absolutely beautiful day filled with splendor and joy. You are amazing. And I thank you for spending some time. Profound what now? Profound ass, dude. Profound. Love is true. I love you. And wait a second. I did say I'll play drums. No, my phone is dead, bro. I only have like a percentage left, and I still want to transfer files. Otherwise, I can't make flowers. I love you. I'll see you again soon. Goodbye, everybody. Cheers for now.